the jam. Who gives a fuck about a goddamn Grammy?
What's going on, man? It's Jay Skinner. Just wanted to excuse me, drop my opinions on this whole Grammy thing, man. First of all, I want to say KRS-One was right. KRS-One was completely 100% correct. And I realized that this morning. Back when 2023, it was this whole thing about 50 years of hip hop, all these celebrations and everything. Yeah, all these events taking place. And KRS was at a lot of these events. He showed up at a lot of these events, more particularly the Yankee Stadium thing, where it was like an 8-hour thing or whatever, Run DMC closed it, but KRS-One was even there. Now, the Grammys takes place, I think, like every February. And last year, they did a segment where LL got, I guess, the Lifetime Achievement Award or something. And then they went on and did like a segment where they did like a dedication of the 50 years of hip hop. And I think Questlove put it together along with LL. And you had people who I never would have thought I would have seen on the Grammy stage, like Rakim, Chuck D, and Flavor Flav, back when Flavor Flav says, who gives a fuck about a damn Grammy, and back then, so, and then MC Shan, I think the next day, went online and bashed, I think, everybody who participated in that. Like, man, the Grammys, man, they don't care about us, what happened to all that boycotting and everything. And now they put together this dedication and they want to jump on it and everything. And at the time, I mean, I totally understood where MC Shan was coming from, but I didn't really agree with him because, well, let me get into the next thing before I tell you why I didn't really agree with Shan like that. Fast forward, later on in the year, like a few months ago, the Grammys put together a special, I guess, like where they put together a whole special where the whole thing was acknowledging the 50 years of hip hop. And supposedly they got Questlove and LL to put that together. And LL was going around, trying to recruit acts, recruit rappers, MCs to be a part of it. And he apparently called KRS-One. KRS-One, I'm guessing, respectfully turned it down. But then Chris went on and explained how he felt about the Grammys. And again, he was going on about, oh, it took them 50 years to finally acknowledge us, 49 years, they wouldn't even acknowledge us and everything, right? And now they want to acknowledge us. And he was like, they don't want me up there at the Grammys because I'll be up there saying, fuck the Grammys, at the Grammys and everything, right? So, and Hammer turned it down too, because back in the days, everybody was always dissing Hammer, so he's like, why would I want to participate in an event with everybody on the bill that pretty much used to diss me and talk junk about me? Even though that was decades ago, but I agree with Hammer. And I wasn't the biggest Hammer fan. I used to be one of the people who used to diss Hammer back in the days. But even I agree with Hammer. Like, it's almost like, I know we grown 40s, 50s and everything. And a lot of stuff we put behind us, we get over it and everything. But say you was really, really bullied in high school. Say high school was some of your worst years, people who really disrespected you and everything. I don't care how many years goes by, you're not going to want to go to any class reunions knowing every face you saw, even though everybody may have grown now, got kids, and they see that as being foolish and childish and everything. And years and decades go by, still, if those are your main memories of being in high school and being tormented by these kids, I don't care if you're in your 50s, you go to a class reunion. What is a class reunion? It's a reunion of your classmates, your schoolmates, and reminiscing on the times you spent at school. do you really want to reminisce on the times you always got bullied and beat up and all this other stuff? Not that Hammer got beat up, but I'm just saying, people used to always diss Hammer and talk junk about him. And I'm pretty sure everybody's outgrown that. If they saw Hammer now, it probably, more likely, would be all love. But Hammer going to this, Grammy dedication would probably be like, those are the only memories he would have of being around those other rappers. So I feel Hammer. But people started, like, they caught backlash for that. Like, people was like, nah, KRS is wrong. Hammer is wrong. Like, they should have done it. Don't do it for them. Do it for hip-hop. Do it for hip-hop, right? I didn't agree with that. Like, I may not have agreed. Let me tell you why I didn't agree with MC Shan. For the same reason I didn't totally agree with KRS-One. KRS was like, for 49 years, the Grammys didn't acknowledge that, which I don't think is true. I think after a while, the Grammys did start acknowledging hip-hop. You started having more rappers performing. You started having more televised rap awards. Like, you started seeing rappers being televised, winning the awards more. So that's why I didn't really totally agree with Chris on that one. And I wasn't mad at Chris and Hammer for not participating. But I wasn't mad at those that did participate. I'm like, for those that did participate, I'm sure they got in their mind and their hearts that they are doing it for the love of hip-hop. They are doing it for that purpose. So for anybody that performed and did that dedication that the Grammys put together, and they did it for the sole purpose of the love for the culture and everything, I'm not mad at them. So I'm not mad at those that perform, and I'm not mad at those that turned it down. Because people was like, KRS, man, like, that's wrong, man. You should do it for hip-hop. I'm like, it's 50 years only comes one. I'm like, what makes you think he has to do that? KRS is doing plenty of other 50th anniversary hip-hop dedications. He just did the big one at Yankee Stadium. So I disagree with everybody else with all the backlash talking about how he should do this. Like, stop thinking about himself, do it for hip-hop. He is doing stuff for hip-hop, especially the shows that are being put together by hip-hop people themselves putting the show together. It's like he don't have to conform to performing for no Grammy, production to show his, like, you talking about the man who teaches hip-hop, the man who declares he is hip-hop. Like, who are we to tell us, man, that's his responsibility to perform as something that the Grammys put together in dedication and acknowledgement for the 50 years of hip-hop. So I didn't agree with any of the backlash, but at the same time, I didn't agree with KRS talking about how the Grammys don't acknowledge hip-hop like that, because in my mind, I'm like, when rappers boycotted the Grammys back when Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince won the awards, and over all these years, they wouldn't televise it, that was I understood that, because I think about it, back then, hip-hop wasn't at the forefront where it would wind up becoming. So you had shows like the Grammys, American Music Awards, Billboard Awards. Yeah, they'll overlook hip-hop because hip-hop wasn't at the forefront to where it would become. So yeah, I understand boycotting and everything. But the people who ran the Grammys back then, this is my mistake. Let me tell you what my mistake. My mistake was ever defending the Grammys. I won't make that mistake anymore. I defended the Grammys because I was like, where I disagree with KRS and Shan, I'm like, you got to understand, we talking late 80s, early 90s. The people who ran the Grammys, probably, I would say predominantly like white corporate people, they weren't into rap and hip-hop and stuff like that back then. Fast forward 20-something years later, 15, 20-something years later, the people who run the Grammys now, like, the people who ran the Grammys then, more likely are not the same people running the Grammys now. The people who are running the Grammys now more likely grew up on some hip-hop, got more acknowledgement, they got more of an understanding, more of an exposure to hip-hop than the people who ran the Grammys back in the late 80s and early 90s. So you fast forward to the 2000s, now you got, Eminem and Jay-Z and all these other cats, right? Outkast and everybody. Now hip-hop, and then you can't deny where hip hop has grown. Like hip hop now is, not now, but I'm just saying at a certain point became the #1 genre of music in all of music. So you couldn't deny it. Like you couldn't deny it for too much longer. So at a certain point, the Grammys had to acknowledge hip hop is big, it's mainstream, it's in Hollywood, it's in movies, it's in commercials, it's in shows. We got to jump on it. But after last night's Grammys, I really questioned the true, like, if they really are really down for the culture like that. I should have never really. The Grammys, let me just say this, all right. So, I was saying how the people who ran the Grammys now, specifically the ones who put together the 50th anniversary thing, I'm like, these are people who respect hip hop more than their elders, the ones who ran the Grammys back then. So that's why I was disagreeing with Chris and Shan. Like, you can't put on this generation of the people who run the Grammys of what the last couple of generations of how they treated hip hop. I was like, that's not fair. But last night proved them right and me wrong. How do we go from, okay, now hip hop is starting to get some recognition in the Grammys and everything, right? Now we get to the point to where not only do they have LL winning the Lifetime Achievement Award, not only do they have a segment right after that to where they have all these rappers come, do their little sets or whatever to celebrate and acknowledge the 50th years of hip hop. Not only do they do that, but then months later, the Grammys get Questlove and LL to put together a whole special, like Grammys presents the 50 years of hip hop, and you got these performances and whatever, right? How do we go from all of that, me defending the Grammys, yeah, this generation of people that run the Grammys, they understand, they got more of a love of hip hop. How do we go from all of that to 2024? We go right back to not televising any of the rap awards. Last year, they put together all this, yeah, we acknowledged the 50 years of hip hop. And now, after all that, we turn around the very next Grammys, y'all don't televise any of the rap awards. And to make it kind of fishier, kind of more suspect, you only got one person who wins all the. Now, I'm not going to say Killer Mike didn't deserve it. Shout out to Killer Mike. I'm not going to say he didn't deserve it, but it's just kind of crazy. Maybe in a conspiracy way of thinking, how you have only one rapper win all of the rap awards and then get arrested minutes after wrapping up every rap award that the Grammys have to present, and none of it is televised. F the Grammys, man. F the Grammys. I like when I woke up this morning, like I don't watch the Grammys. It's been years since I've sat down and watched an awards program. Years. And it was like I kept hearing ramblings that the Grammys was on last night, man. I was out trying to make some money, man. Forget the Grammys. I wasn't even trying to watch it anyway. But last year, after the Grammys happened, I heard about the celebration, so I tried to search and I found that part of the Grammys from last year. I still haven't watched the actual special that the Grammys put together. I don't even know if I want to now. I did want to. I don't even know if I want to now, but I was hyped about it because, like I said, it's hip hop and everything. I took it for what it was, but I understood people not wanting to do it for those reasons. But I'm like I said, you can't blame one generation for something that the past generation did, especially if this generation isn't even doing it. But apparently I was wrong, and this generation must be doing it too. So I know KRS is not going to see this, Shan's not going to see this, but if this somehow gets to them, I apologize. I agreed with most of what y'all was saying at first, Nah, I completely agree. Like, you know how you feel a certain way about something or somebody, but you want to be wrong. Like, you don't want to be right. So you started like giving them the benefit of the doubt, and then something happens or they do something that reaffirms your original feelings about them. This is it right here. Like, I don't even watch BET Awards. I don't watch Soul Train. I don't watch none of the awards, man. So it is what it is, man. But anyway, sorry for rambling. That's how I feel about this. And I'm out.
Don't give a damn about a Grammy, you're a source award. Making it in the music business, of course, is hard.